actually still pretty hard for me to watch because I still kind of live it every day. And there are times when I still wake up in the morning and I feel like that guy from a year and a half ago. I look in the mirror, sometimes I don't see it. So it's very hard. And one of the things that I've done to really help with that is goal setting. And honestly, when I work with bariatric patients, I spend a lot of time talking about goal setting because it is honestly the key to my success. If I didn't have these goals in place, I wouldn't have anything to work towards. I wouldn't have any pressure on me to get things done. And so prior to going in for this surgery, food was motivation for me. And it was even my motivation when I dieted. For me, it's like, all right, I'm gonna have a really, really great week, and then I'm gonna have a cake, a piece of cake. And that piece of cake turned into the whole cake, turned into 2 cakes, and then all of a sudden it was all gone. So, you know, obviously the food wasn't working. So for me, I had to take a gamble on myself. And for me, that gamble was kind of putting my life on the line by going through having a full gastric bypass. And when I woke up, and I very distinctly remember this, when they got ready to wheel me back, my entire family was, of course, in the room. They were all crying and freaking me out, and I was calm as can be, honestly, up until they put me to sleep, absolutely calm, which was very, very unlike me, because I had been freaking out completely up until then. But I very distinctly remember my mom leaned in, and she whispered in my ear and gave me a hug, and she said, no matter what happens in the next 24 hours, I want you to fight. And so for me, that's kind of been the thing that's just stuck in my head ever since. And so when I woke up and everything was fine, the surgery was a success, and was starting my road to recovery, I had plenty of time to sit in a hospital bed. I had plenty of time to sit at home because I couldn't do a lot of activity. So I had plenty of time to sit down and plan and think and dream about all the things that I wanted to do. So for me, I did 2 things. And this is what I tell everybody to do. Look at the visual goals and look at the physical goals. The visual goals are honestly the very hardest ones to do, particularly when you're the size that I was. It's very, very hard to take pictures of yourself, either naked or just in your underwear or anything like that, and really, really be honest with yourself about what you look like. And you know, I encourage everybody to do that. And it's the same way with regular goal setting. You need to be naked with yourself. You need to be honest about where you're starting. You know, if you're trying to run a race, you can't sit there and be like, all right, I could run a 5K. I've never ran anything in my life. You know, is that really feasible? You know, you've got to be honest with yourself about where you're starting out. And so for me, it was taking pictures. It actually served another purpose. Down the line, as things got difficult, I would have days where, or actually the perfect example, I would have a week where I was just nailing it at the gym. And I mean, I was lifting heavy weights, I was, you know, just going to town. Feeling skinny, feeling great. I get to the end of the week and I lost 2 pounds. For most people, that's amazing. To me, it's like, you know, and a whole load of curse words would start streaming out of my mouth while I stared at the scale. And then the very next week, I would feel like crap all week. I'd feel bloated, I'd feel gassy, I'd feel all sorts of fun. And I get to the end of the week and I lose 12 pounds. And for me, I just, you know, it's that bewilderment with the whole process. And for me, what became my constant was those photos. And still to this day, I will text my wife and be like, I'm having a rough day, I'm just not feeling it. And she will actually, she keeps a full stock of old pictures of me on her phone. And she will text me a picture and say, just look at how far you've come. And so I can hold that picture up and I look and I'm like, I'm not that guy anymore. You know, I look at this video and even though there are days that I still feel like that guy, I look at that and I'm not that guy. I can do things that guy only dreamed of. And to that end, I also measure myself. I measure myself top to bottom when I first started. So there were days I step on the scale, I don't lose anything. Okay, that's fine. But then I start measuring it. Hey, even though I didn't lose anything, I still lost an inch on my waist. That's not bad. Or I gained an inch in my upper arm. You know, and for me, that was the motivation. That became my new constant instead of food, and that became my measuring stick. The other side of things were the physical goals, and this is where it gets to be fun, and where I start to encourage people to really, really sit down and think about what they're going to do and what they want to do. I tell people to dream big. And I tell them to dream from the mundane to the insane. Now, for me, mundane was honestly ridiculously mundane for most. Mundane for me was walking down a flight of stairs like a normal person. I would usually have to go down the stairs like this, you know, holding onto the rail, because I was scared to death that if I took that next step, I'd break something, or I'd break the stair, or I'd get hurt. And 3 weeks after surgery, I went down the stairs like a normal person, and it didn't hurt. And I sat at the bottom of the stairs and cried for 10 minutes. Because for me, that was my world. That was everything, just being able to do that. And you know, you talk to some of the trainers at some of the gyms and things like that, they probably laugh at me. Because for them, going down a flight of stairs is normal. For me, going down a flight of stairs is completely normal now, but back then it was everything. And then I decided to think insanely. And people still tell me, you've got to be nuts. When I said, you know what, I felt like my body had been asleep for so many years. I had abused my body. I had let it go to waste. So now that I'm getting my body back, I want to see what it's fully capable of. I want to push my body to the absolute limit. And how do I do that? And what I started watching were the Ironman races. And I saw one on TV. And then over the course of the 3 or 4 weeks that I was actually recovering, I think I watched every Ironman race from like 1998 through today on YouTube. Thank God for YouTube. But I got the opportunity to see all these people doing absolutely impossibly incredible things. And I said, one day I want to be able to do that. People may think I'm nuts, and there are days I look in the mirror and I still think I'm nuts. And I might not be totally wrong. But the thing is all of a sudden I had my beginning and I had my end. So with those two in place, then it became, okay, well, how do I get from walking down the stairs to, you know, swimming 2.5 miles, biking 118, and then running a full 26.2 mile marathon? Well, okay, I had already been swimming. Swimming was my bread and butter. It was easy on my knees, easy on my joints, and it was something I could do to get moving. So I had the swimming down. What was next? Okay, well, I got to start walking. So it was walk a 5K, then it was walk a 10K. Then I finally got the bike. And then from the bike, you know, you move on to, okay, well, now I need to do a longer bike race, or I got to run the 5K, and then I got to run the 10K. And, you know, next up is running the half marathon for me. But the funny thing is each time I push myself, and the perfect example of this was when I was doing the Couch to 5K program initially. It's wonderful. You get it on your phone, you sit there, and you're like, all right, what am I going to do today? And you look at it like, wait. They want me to do what? They want me to run a minute and then walk for 3? I don't even think I could run 10 seconds, let alone a minute. And so each time I would get ready to do this, I would look at it and I'd be like, that is impossible. And each time I'd be like, well, you know what, I'm going to do it anyways. I may die doing this, but that's okay. At least I tried. And for me, it was funny because I would get to the end and I'm like, well, I'm not dead yet. What's up with that? I'm not doing too bad. You know, maybe I could do more next time. So, you know, that's kind of my thing is I want to challenge you with trying to do more each time and trying to set those goals for yourself for the next year, from the mundane, something very simple, to the absolutely insane, and to dream big for it. So I want to leave you with one last really quick story. I had a friend of mine, and I've got a blog post about it. He had a phrase that got on my nerves through high school. He said it to be annoying. He said, it's all about your 1-2. He heard it from some famous preacher, and he started using it all the time, and it annoyed the living daylights out of me. And then when I started losing weight, I lost touch with this friend, but it started popping back up into the back of my head. It started outweighing the voice in my head that said he can't do it. And so every time I sit there and I look at some task that I have, that phrase, it's all about your 1-2, starts popping into my head. For me, it's if you want it bad enough, you'll find a way to make it happen. So that's what I have for you guys today. I want to show you this. This were the pants I was originally wearing when I first started. And now I'm about 2 feet smaller all the way around, something like that.